when I focus on our 5D mystic plane, it's going to be a lot less educational on how our lovely functional adult love language can come about the journey to your integrated brain. Right now I'm focusing on my mystic community and sharing the differences. A 5D mystic does not ever in a million years doubt, not even in a million years, I'm only 43 though, never, ever, ever, ever have I doubted anything that I've intuitively picked up on. That's because though my 3-year-old heart is whole. So the 3-year mark is important because that's when we begin to get yelled at. And so even in the absence of any traumatic, unfortunate for those individuals who have trauma and who have attachment wounds, their choice points are very challenging. Now, please have compassion. It won't always come across as I got very much in a passionate conversation, but compassion is in the lead. Otherwise, you're nowhere near 5D Zen mastery. You're not aware that all people have their own subjective experience. And if their 3-year-old has a broken heart, they have trauma memory. They have attachment wounds. They're not the devil or demons. They are people who are hurt so much they don't even know. So their nervous system, because see, a person who has trauma, their nervous system is dysregulated, is dysfunctional. It didn't learn to self-regulate. 4D don't learn anything apparently about how it works in the body of a person. They're good at telling you things. They're good at using their mouths. They're not good on application, which is also why when they're in struggle with the external, they're like, oh, source, please, desperately. Or they get pissy at source and then they negate everything or whatever it is that they do. This is where they, personally, with all of what I grew up with, I've never taken it upon myself to say, you did it. In fact, I grew up with God. To this day, God to me exists, but not in the form that I was taught it. That's why, as I said before, I'm religious, yes, but not really, because of course the people who are traditionally religious are going to be like, no, you're not, you're a demon child. And I was like, no, I'm not, but I get it. Okay, so our intuition, when it's a 3-year-old whole heart, does not get dissuaded. And so here, our battle is not a battle. It's expansion of consciousness. We know that we're expanding, and we don't sacrifice anyone. The only ones who cause hurt people, who hurt people, don't know about a good therapist such as Patrick Tiahan, who is a childhood trauma survivor and explains to you why it's important to learn about codependent type relationships and to have a therapist, good one, that can teach you about codependent relationships and not be a bad therapist that will actually lead you into a type of codependent relationship, because there's plenty of therapists, they got unfinished business. They're in their seat as saviors. They're doing spiritual bypassing. Yes. They're going to be the martyrs or the superiors who are going to change you, or the self-blamers or blame you or whatever, take care of you. Those are codependent type, low self-esteem. And you will notice who is a good therapist, one who will inform you of everything that is imaginable, possible for them to share with you with your permission, to help you understand how to be emotionally independent as your 3-year-old adult self now. 4D, they're busy saying you lose people as you ascend and vibe higher. They don't vibe anywhere near enlightenment yet, because the way that they use their mouth and talking about cutting cords, talking about people as energy vampires, demons, and devils, there you go. It's straightforward as it gets, which is why their intuition, in fact, as I was trying to explain, when you're in safety behavior and you're working with your amygdala, you're distorting, but you're not distorting based on that necessarily brain structure in and of itself. You've created a story thanks to the movies, thanks to books, thanks to so many things. Adaptive children love a story because their inner child, they're not paying attention to the emotion. They're pretending that the emotion, the charges are, they're not doing anything with their charges is the point. And they're working with whatever fictitious movie. I've seen 4D mystics sensationalize their whole twin flame experience, like in my face. I'm going to use an example. And this was where, as I worked to disconnect the person from what is called when you have structural dissociation. Your left mode, chatter, right's reacting with your charges from your own trauma history and in the presence of an individual. I'm not a person's therapist. I'm just a friend, but I am aware, again, of trauma-informed stuff. So I'm being spoken to glasses flying, people yelling, and nothing dangerous, but it was the way that I was being told about the dream state and then the interactions between each other, and just this idea of they're manipulating my energy, they're pulling me here and there. And the minute that I'm being told this, I'm like, okay, you're Claire baby from Starland, special Starland here, right? Do not tell me where you come. So all the stories of where we come from, which they're not just stories, but again, the staying connected, if you have these intuitiveness, which you call gifts, which they're not gifts. In fact, that's the whole point of being an embodied brain. We're nervous systems, we communicate, you bring your unfinished business from your own family of origin here to each other. The other stuff also counts, but it's only if you're actually learning about it. 4D don't do any of it. I've had so many different Akashic record readings. They don't grow. They don't figure it out because they're not connecting to, I'm a human baby with a human life, and I have a 3-year-old, and I have an attachment system. And even when you explain it to them, they're like, no. Oh, so here's where when a person, 5D mystic, explains to 4D mystic, you're not under the possession of any twin flame, meaning they don't manipulate you, they can't. It's your own physical human being brain. You have emotions going on. It's called structural dissociation, what you're doing right now. And furthermore, you're actually having a lot of emotions. How about we handle what's going on? What do you know from your 3-year-old life? What do you know from your 6? Like, what is it that you have going on in here with the name? Use your name, please, besides what star baby you are and whatnot. And so on that note, the way that people respond to a person who's proactively sharing with them, and so mysticism playing, you're more experienced, that's why. You have more gifts, that's why. You're just better at, no, there's none of that is true. I'm simply an emotional adult. That's all, because my 3-year-old is whole, because I don't need to be seen in a way of, oh my gosh, if I'm not seen by whoever it is of my oversoul, because there's not just your twin flame, there's twin flames, soulmates, there's people. Did anybody think growing up that you'd be liked by all people? Like, this is my biggest question, and as a teenager, I figured out some people are going to think you're good. Some people are going to think you're bad. Some people are going to think you're an angel. Some people are going to think you're a demon. Yeah, okay, peace. I'm not really feeling it here, our social system. So for those who are not only not emotionally independent from their attachment system, they're not going to be independent from their social system. You got adaptive children. It's people with unresolved trauma, attachment wounds. It's all serious business. You got good therapists talking about it. Now, they talk about it in a way of you're never going to be able to, and I laugh because let's never say never, please. You work with people who need you. Enlightenment soul age group people, we don't need you to give us. It's always felt like, what the heck? Even when I say, oh, I'm proud, I'm like, what are you proud about? You're just doing life. It's very straightforward for us to do our thinking and our emotional. It's not cold, by the way. This was something that was told to me so many times. Like, I'm full of emotions. What are you talking about? I just don't go drama on anyone, because why would I be in drama? Nobody is physically in any type of danger. And if we were, that's when we'd need to be really worried. And thank goodness we don't live in the medieval times anymore. But some people, apparently they're witches. Their third eye was blocked. They're not going to block it. Yes. As long as you don't do introspection and you raise your emotional intelligence, you ain't unblocking anything, because you're not using your prefrontal cortex to evaluate what's coming in and out. But you're also not calming yourself to say, wait a minute, I'm really upset right now and I'm making up a lot of shit from my mouth. Maybe I should allow myself to just talk it out. It's straightforward how to work through things. 4D mystics, they have stories and they got groups and they sing together and then they get pissy together. And when the universe and source don't do what surrender. Perfect timing. Oh my gosh, that sentence in and of itself, every time I heard it, I'm like, what are you talking about? Why don't you just go back to the ancients? You might as well just do that. It's, if you got intuition, if you got clairs, if you're star baby, well, you know, you're supposed to be able to see the future of your own stuff, but that's the part. You're not focused on you if you're not a 3-year-old with a whole heart. So unconditionally loving our flaws, imperfections. Nobody's going to always do this or that. And learning how to live all types of relationships, minus the drama, but with emotional building regulation skills in the forefront, because our attachment system is ours. It rocks. Tune on in.